ancient history, Armenia will change your mind. Welcome to Yerevan, where pagan temples, rock-cut monasteries, and real daily life collide. Over 3 days, we'll explore Yerevan's streets, markets, and creative scene, then head into the highlands of Armenia's most unforgettable landmarks with insider tips so you move like a local. This is YEREVAN Decoded. Let's make it happen. Day 1. Cascade's manuscripts and the heart of Yerevan. Morning, Cascade Complex. Let's start your first morning in Yerevan, the historic capital of Armenia, at the city's most monumental landmark. The Cascade Complex is a massive limestone staircase that rises above the center, acting as a giant art gallery that slowly reveals the skyline as you climb. It's the perfect place to get your bearings and understand why this place is famously called the Pink City. The structure is a masterpiece of Soviet modernist architecture, featuring a total of 572 steps that reach a height of about 387 feet, or 118 meters. As you move between the wide terraces, you'll pass intricate gardens and world-class modern sculptures. The entire complex is built from light-colored stone that glows beautifully in the morning sun, creating a sophisticated backdrop for the city's daily life. The complex is free to visit, and while you can climb the stairs anytime, I recommend waiting until 8 a.m. when the internal escalators begin to run. These are located inside the Cascade Center for the Arts and allow you to glide toward the upper levels while passing through sleek, air-conditioned galleries. It's a savvy way to save your legs for the rest of the day while still enjoying the contemporary installations housed within the mountain itself. Insider tip. Aim to reach the top level before 9 a.m. On clear days, the legendary Mount Ararat appears directly ahead, perfectly framed by the city's architecture for the most iconic photo of the trip. Matanadadan Manuscript Museum. Take the short walk from the Cascade to reach a massive stone vault that houses the very soul of the country. The Matanadadan serves as the primary guardian for 17,000 ancient manuscripts that have survived everything history could throw at them. Before you climb the main stairs, stop at the statue of Mesrop Mashtots, the 5th century genius who forged the Armenian alphabet to ensure his people's culture could never be erased. The interior galleries showcase everything from medieval surgery manuals to early astronomical maps, all decorated with gold leaf and vibrant pigments that have kept their glow for centuries. Doors open at 10 a.m. and your ticket costs about $4. I recommend setting aside a full hour to explore these halls. It's a powerful way to see how this nation used the pen to outlast empires. Insider tip. Find the Charantir, a giant manuscript weighing nearly 60 pounds or 28 kilograms. During a war, this book was so incredibly heavy that it actually split in two so 2 refugees could carry the pieces across the mountains to safety. Afternoon. Lunch at Lavash Restaurant. Head toward the Opera House for a lunch centered around the country's most iconic staple. Lavash Restaurant is a high-energy spot where you can watch the bakers slap fresh dough into a scorching tandoor, a traditional clay oven, right in the middle of a dining room. The menu features polished versions of rural classics that are meant to be shared. I recommend the kurjin, which is spiced beef or lamb tucked into a savory dough pouch, or the gapama, a roasted pumpkin filled with honeyed rice and dried fruit. Main courses typically run between $15 and $25, and a 10% service fee is added to the final check. This place is consistently packed, so definitely book a table ahead of time to avoid the wait. Republic Square. Walk off that lunch by stepping into the grand, rose-colored heart of the capital. Republic Square is a massive, symmetrical masterpiece designed to be the city's ceremonial anchor, framed by 5 major buildings carved from Armenia's signature pink tufa stone. This is where the city's neoclassical scale meets traditional Armenian carving, creating an architectural blend that looks especially vibrant as the afternoon sun hits the facades. The square serves as the home to the Government House and the National Gallery, which sits prominently on the northern edge. While the square itself is a public space and free to explore 24 hours a day, a ticket to the National Gallery or the History Museum of Armenia will cost you about $5. I recommend taking a full lap around the perimeter to appreciate the intricate stone motifs. This is the best way to understand why Yerevan is nicknamed the Pink City. Insider tip: look for the Seven Springs Drinking Fountain or Pulpulak located near the National Gallery. This small stone monument is a local icon. I recommend taking a drink from it just like the locals do. It's some of the cleanest and coldest mountain water you'll find in the city center. Blue Mosque. Take a quick detour off the Republic Square to find the Blue Mosque, the last remaining 18th century Persian mosque in the city. Built in 1766, this site is a striking patchwork of turquoise and emerald tiles that stand out as a unique contrast to Yerevan's signature pink stone. It's a working religious space that highlights a completely different chapter of the city's long history. The complex features a quiet, central courtyard filled with apricot trees and a single minaret that reaches about 79 feet or 24 meters into the sky. Entry to the courtyard and the prayer hall is free, and the gates are generally open to visitors from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and again from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. I recommend checking your outfit before you arrive. Like most active religious sites, modest dress is required, and women will need to cover their hair with a scarf to enter the main hall. Evening. Dinner at Shedep Restaurant. Wrap up your day just steps away from the square at Shedep, a high-energy spot that was the first in the city to feature a completely open kitchen. It's essentially a culinary theater. You can grab a seat and watch a massive team of chefs flip pans and fire up the charcoal grills in real time. The menu is an extensive collection of Armenian favorites and regional specialties with a polished, modern edge. I recommend trying their traditional manti, which are delicate, boat-shaped dumplings topped with a swirl of garlic yogurt, or the beef ribs with red wine sauce for something incredibly tender and rich. Main courses typically fall between $15 and $30. Since this is one of the most popular tables in Yerevan, I recommend booking a spot at least a day in advance to avoid waiting at the door. Musical fountain show at Republic Square. As night falls, return to Republic Square for the city's favorite evening upgrade. This is where the formal heart of the Pink City sheds its serious side to become a high-energy, open-air theater. You'll see the fountains launch into a choreographed dance, firing water jets up to 50 meters or 164 feet, in sync with everything from grand classical suites to legendary Armenian jazz. The performance is a free social event that runs every night from May through October, typically starting between 8 to 9 in the evening and wrapping up at 11. It's an informal scene where you can find a spot near the stone basins to watch the capital finally kick into its nighttime rhythm. And that is a wrap on your first day conquering the Pink City. Day 2. Markets, art, and everyday Yerevan. Morning. Sergei Parajanov Museum. Let's start the second day in the mind of a creative rebel. The Sergei Parajanov Museum is a dense labyrinth dedicated to a filmmaker who survived years in Soviet prisons by making art out of any scrap he could scavenge. You'll find rooms packed with intricate collages and assemblages that turn this traditional stone house into a sophisticated workshop. The museum opens at 10:30 a.m. and entry is about $4. I recommend grabbing an audio guide for a few extra dollars to decode the history tucked into every frame. You're stepping straight into an artist's private studio here, not just a standard gallery. Late morning, Armenian Market. Once you leave the museum, make your way to the Armenian Market, locally known as Gum Market, to see the city's culinary engine in full gear. This covered bazaar is loud, chaotic, and completely authentic, serving as the primary source for everything from fresh mountain herbs to aged local cheeses. You'll find rows of stalls stacked with vibrant dried fruits and long strings of sujuk, which are walnuts dipped in thick grape syrup. The vendors here are professional hosts and will insist you sample their honey-soaked apricots or spiced nuts before you even think about buying. It's the smartest place to stock up on edible souvenirs, as prices are usually 20 to 30% lower than what you'll find in the city center supermarkets. You're participating in a daily ritual here that shows exactly how the capital eats and shops. Afternoon, Vernissage Market. Next, let's head back toward the center for a massive treasure hunt at Vernissage. This sprawling open-air bazaar is where centuries of Armenian soul meet modern street life. You'll find rows of stalls overflowing with heavy hand-woven carpets, intricate silver jewelry, and those legendary pomegranate-themed carvings that seem to show up in every Armenian home. It's a fantastic place to see the local obsession with ancient symbols and intricate wood craftsmanship up close. The market stays active every day, but I recommend visiting on a Saturday or Sunday when the full cast of local artisans arrive and the selection's at its absolute peak. Most handmade pieces fall in the $15 to $60 range, but remember that bargaining is the local language here. Take your time to compare stalls and chat with the makers. The best deals usually start with a genuine interest in the history of the craft. Insider tip: if you're hunting for an authentic Armenian duduk, look for the makers who actually play their instruments for you. A professional-grade duduk is made from ancient apricot wood and feels noticeably heavy in your hand compared to the lighter souvenir versions. Listen for that deep, haunting resonance. Late afternoon, lunch at Gata Tavern. After you finished your treasure hunt at the market, take a 10-minute walk over to Gata Tavern for a proper Armenian welcome. This place is a local legend, tucked into a rustic, stone-walled space that smells exactly like wood-fired meats and fresh dough. You should definitely start with a bowl of spas, a creamy, tangy yogurt soup, before moving on to their tolma or a plate of sizzling pork kodavats. You also cannot leave without trying their namesake gata bread. It's a sweet, buttery national staple, and seeing the staff pull a fresh tray out of the oven is worth the visit alone. I recommend their version stuffed with walnuts and honey for the most authentic flavor. A full lunch here usually runs between $10 to $20. Dig into the classics and enjoy that busy tavern energy before you head back out for the afternoon. Gala Art Gallery. Walk off that lunch with a short stroll toward the Opera House to find the Gala Art Gallery. This sleek space shows you how modern Armenian artists take those traditional themes you saw at the market and flip them on their head. You'll find bright canvases and bold sculptures that explore what it means to be Armenian in the 21st century. You can drop in for free and move at your own pace through the rotating exhibits without any of the usual museum fatigue. This is your chance to see exactly where Armenian culture is headed next, right in the heart of the city. Insider tip: keep an eye out for the smaller sculptures tucked into the corners. While the massive canvases usually grab your attention, these more intimate pieces often showcase the detailed stone and metal work that Armenia is famous for, just with a modern twist. Evening, dinner at Wine Republic. Head straight to the base of the Cascade for a table at Wine Republic. This spot functions like a massive wine library with floor-to-ceiling shelves holding hundreds of local and international bottles. You'll feel the buzz the second you walk in. It's fast, loud, and feels exactly like a sleek European bistro. They're famous for their Thai-style mussels, which might sound unexpected here, but they're a total city legend. If you're not in the mood for seafood, their steaks and duck are just as solid. Expect to spend between $15 and $35 or $6,000 to $14,000 AMD for a full meal. Since this is one of the most popular spots in Yerevan, I recommend calling ahead or stopping by earlier in the day to grab a reservation. Grab a table, order a bottle, and dive into the best seafood in the city while the Cascade lights up right outside. Day 3. Ancient Temples and Armenia's Sacred Landscapes. Morning, Garni Temple. Day 3 is officially here, and we're getting you out of the city streets and into the wild. Your first stop is Garni Temple, a 2,000-year-old beast of a building perched right on the edge of a jagged cliff. This is the only Greco-Roman temple left in the country, so it's a massive standout. It looks more like something you'd find in Rome or Athens than the stone churches you've seen so far. You've got 24 thick basalt columns surrounding the structure, and the view down into the Azat River Gorge is honestly dizzying. The site opens up at 9 a.m. and entry costs about $4. Don't just snap a photo of the front and leave. Walk all the way around to the back of the platform. The drop-off into the valley below is insane, and it really shows you why ancient kings picked this specific spot for a fortress. It's high, it's rugged, and it feels like a total gear shift from the vibe of downtown Yerevan. Insider tip. Since you're hitting a few different spots out in the country, renting a car or hiring a driver is your best bet. It's about a 45-minute trek from the city, and you don't want to be stuck waiting for a minibus in the middle of nowhere. A rental usually sets you back about $25 to $60 for the day, and it gives you total control over when you move on to the next spot. Late morning, Symphony of Stones. Once you're done at the temple, you've got to head down to the Azat River Gorge to see the Symphony of Stones. This place is a total mind trip. It's a massive wall of basalt columns that look exactly like a giant stone pipe organ carved into the mountain. Thousands of years ago, cooling volcanic lava cracked into these perfect hexagonal shapes, and now they tower over the trail in a way that feels almost staged. The deeper you walk into the canyon, the crazier the scale gets. The rock faces actually curve right over your head as you move along the path. The best part is that this is included with your Garni ticket, so you don't have to pull out your wallet again. Just keep your pass handy and head down the trail. Definitely wear your sturdiest shoes for this part, because the path is pretty uneven and you'll be walking over plenty of loose rock. Take a second to actually look up and soak in the symmetry of the cliffs. It's nature's own architecture, and it's arguably even more impressive than the temple itself. Afternoon. Brunch at Garni Avenue Cafe and Restaurant. By the time you hike back out of that gorge, you're going to be starving. Head straight into the village and grab a table at Garni Avenue Cafe and Restaurant on Geghard Monastery Street. It's a quick 3-minute walk from the temple gates and hits that perfect balance of being close to the action while feeling like a quiet garden retreat once you're through the door. The doors open at 11 a.m., so you can slide right in as the kitchen starts firing for a massive late-morning feast. Skip the basic stuff and go for the Garni Avenue fish soup or a fresh fattoush salad loaded with crispy pieces of lavash. If you want the real deal, Verkhorovat is traditional Armenian barbecue grilled over an open fire, and it's totally a game changer. You're looking at spending anywhere from $8 to $15 for a huge spread that will carry you through the rest of the afternoon. Geghard Monastery. Jump back in the car for a 15-minute drive deeper into the mountains to reach Geghard Monastery. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the most mind-blowing spots in the country. It isn't just a building sitting on a mountain. Half of the complex is literally hacked into solid rock on the cliffside. The name Geghard means spear, and for centuries, this place housed the holy spear used at the crucifixion. It's rugged, ancient, and looks like it grew right out of the canyon walls. Entry is totally free, so you can just wander in and explore the different levels at your own pace. Make sure you step into the chapels carved directly into the stone. The acoustics in there are legendary. If you're lucky, you'll catch someone singing or chanting, and the way the sound vibrates off the rock walls is enough to give you chills. You're allowed to take photos inside, but keep the flash off to respect the space. Insider tip. Before you head back to the car, check the local stalls lined up outside the entrance. You'll find women selling palav and gata, plus vendors with handsome lace and intricate wood carvings. It's the best place to grab a snack or a small, authentic souvenir that isn't mass-produced. Late afternoon, Charents. On your way back toward Yerevan, keep an eye out for a roadside pull-off called Charents. This stone monument was built in the 1950s for one reason: to frame Mount Ararat like a massive living postcard. It's named after the poet Yagisha Charents, who famously sat here to write about the mountain, and it's arguably the best seat in the house for seeing the peak in all its glory. You don't need to worry about tickets or entrance fees. This stop is totally free and just a few steps from where you parked the car. If you hit it on a clear day, the mountains fill the archway perfectly. The absolute best time to pull over is late afternoon, about an hour before the sun starts to go down. The light softens up, the colors in the valley get deep, and you get that crisp contrast on the snowy peaks that you just can't find at midday. It's a quick stop, but it's a total heavy hitter for your photos before you transition back into the city vibe. Dinner at Dolmama. Back in Yerevan, head to Pushkin Street for a table at Dolmama. This place is a total institution. It's set in a beautiful 19th century building that feels more like a private, antique-filled home than a restaurant. It's a spot where world leaders and celebrities go to eat, but the atmosphere stays relaxed and genuinely welcoming. The move here is the signature dolma. Unlike the ground meat versions you find elsewhere, they use tender, hand-chopped sirloin with a hint of rosemary that completely changes the game. If you're starving, the mountain lamb stew's another massive win. The meat is slow cooked until it basically melts. Since this is one of the top tier spots in the city, expect to spend between $40 to $80 depending on how deep you go into the wine list. It's almost always full, so you must book a table ahead of time. Grab a seat, order a glass of Armenian red, and enjoy the best high-end traditional food in town. Useful info for spending 3 days in Yerevan. Best time to visit. The sweet spot for hitting Yerevan is definitely from late April through June or during the back half of the year in September and October. You're looking at fantastic weather, usually hanging between 65 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit or 18 to 27 degrees Celsius. This is prime time for cafe hopping and walking the streets without getting roasted by the sun. Definitely try to skip July and August if you can, because the city turns into a total oven. Winter stays at around 30 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit, or -1 to 7 degrees Celsius, and while it is chilly, you'll have the museums and the best wine bars all to yourself. City airport tips. You'll be landing at Zvartnots International Airport, which is a quick trip, only about 7 miles or 12 kilometers from the heart of the city. For the cheapest way into town, grab the Airport Express bus N201 that runs every 30 minutes. It's a total steal at less than $1. If you want a direct ride to the door, download the Yandex Go or GG apps before you land. A private car usually runs between $6 and $10. You can also just grab an official airport taxi at the stand for a fixed rate of about $12 to $15, which is a stress-free way of getting straight to your hotel without any haggling. Where to stay in Yerevan. When choosing where to stay in Yerevan, focus on areas that keep you close to the city's main rhythm. The Kentron district is the most convenient base, placing you within walking distance of Republic Square, museums, cafes, and nightlife. For a more relaxed, local feel, look around the Cascade area, which offers quieter streets, easy access to green spaces, and great views over the city. Budget travelers can find hostel beds starting at around $15 to $25 per night, while mid-range hotels usually begin at $80, with higher-end properties ranging from $150 to $250 per night, depending on season and location. How to get around Yerevan. Yerevan's a fantastic city to explore on foot, but the transport system's incredibly cheap when you need to cover more distance. The city relies on a single-lane metro and a huge network of buses and minibuses. A single ride on the metro or any bus costs a flat rate of about 25 cents. While you can still pay the driver with coins, the city's moving toward a digital system where you can scan a QR code using the Telcel Wallet app on your phone. For the most convenience, skip the street taxis and download the Yandex Go or GG apps. They work exactly like Uber, showing you the price up front so you never have to haggle. A typical ride across the city center usually costs between $2 to $4, making it the easiest way to zip around. Where to eat in Yerevan? Yerevan's food scene is a massive mix of ancient traditions and new energy, so you have plenty of ground to cover. For a classic, world-class experience, head to Lavash Restaurant on Tumanyan Street. This place is a total powerhouse with an open kitchen where you can watch bakers pull fresh flatbread straight out of the oven. It's polished and authentic, usually costing about $20 to $40 per person for a full feast. If you want a buzzing, more casual vibe, find Tun Lamaho on Terian Street. It feels like stepping into a cozy, eccentric living room and serves the best Armenian-style pizzas in the city. It's high energy and perfect for a quick but delicious bite, with meals typically running $10 to $20. Finally, for a place dedicated to clean, plant-based eating, look for Life Food near the city center. It's the go-to spot for organic, raw, and vegan dishes that actually pack a punch in terms of flavor. A meal here is a great break from the heavier meats and usually costs around $15 to $25 per person. And just like that, your 3 days in Armenia have come to a close. You've walked Yerevan's streets, explored its markets and creative spaces, and stood face to face with temples and monasteries that carry centuries of history and silence. If this itinerary helped you plan smarter, hit like and subscribe for more guides like this. And when you're ready to keep moving, Istanbul is calling, where empires collide, food takes center stage, and every neighborhood tells a different story.